Good morning, everybody. Join us here at Chipping Campden Cricket Club here in Gloucestershire for the second outing of the Kleenclad Cup. So, of course, England got a win, a 249-run victory over the USA at Winchmore Hill on Wednesday. So they'll be looking to seal the series here with another resounding win. The USA will be looking to level it. Join us from the earlier start time of 11 a.m. So you join us here in the middle here at Chipping Campden Cricket Club. We've just had the toss and the US have won the toss. And what have you decided to do, Ravi?
We opted to bat first. There's a bit of a green tinge, but still looks a very even wicket. I think the wicket's not going to be a problem. And after a decent show in the previous game with the batsman, I felt confident to opt to bat first here.
Yeah, and obviously, say first time batting first in this series, and of course, in the 3 games with the Lions game as well. Yeah. So you expectant of quite a good innings for your side, Tid.
Yes, I just want to get the batsmen the confidence that I back them. And the previous game, I wanted to make sure how the bowlers would fare. Wanted to make sure everyone gets the opportunity to get his quota of overs and see how we can do on that wicket. That is a pretty green wicket where we played against the Lions. But now I think everybody is settled in. The jet lag is past, and we should be able to bat first.
That's Ravi Suri there, the US captain, after electing to bat first. Best of luck to you this afternoon. So, Ed, the US batting first, bit different to what we've had in this series so far. And the Lions game, of course. That's what does that change your planning for this game?
Well, plans remain the same. We've got to bowl straight, we've got to get early wickets, and we've got to field like tigers. And I'm delighted they won the toss and opted to bat. It gives the series a bit of a slightly different perspective. Yeah, and we've got to deliver and execute on our bowling and fielding plans.
You spoke after Winchmore, just getting some early wickets earlier in the game. Almost is that sort of the MO today?
Yeah, it's always the case, isn't it? In an overs game, if you get 2 or 3 out up front, you're in the game. So that would be the plan again.
That's the England captain after the toss. US to bat first at 11 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. You join us back here with the US captain, Ravi Suri. Ravi, nice to see you. So, of course, a 249-run loss on Wednesday, but some lessons learned at Winchmore Hill.
Yes, we did. And when we played the second game, we showed up a bit better. At least when we batted the 45 overs, which is very critical to ensure that you last the 45 overs as a batting unit. And there's a lot of work still to be done as a bowling unit and fielding unit. But as a batting unit, we're getting better.
I was speaking to a few of your players in the clubhouse just then, and playing a team like this, it really gives you just a test, just to see where you are as a team. How vital has it been these last few games?
It does. It really gives us a test and lets us know where we stand. And we knew what we were up against. We knew we were going to come and play the top 2 teams in the IMC, Australia and England. And England have been doing so well. So we knew what we were up against, and we sort of wanted to check out where we stand vis-a-vis where England and Australia are. And to that extent, it was a very good experience, both the games. And to be fair, a lot of our regular players who would make the 11 have not come into the country. At least 5 or 6 of them who would have walked into this team. for various work commitments or whatever they couldn't make it. So we're checking our bench strength as well. And what I'm happy about is, the players were up for a fight. Yes, we got
in all three departments the other day, but they played against the Lions the following day, and they got on with it. So with the batting, they got on with it. So yeah, a lovely ground. We got well looked after and good result. But we've got to stay focused on these guys who are getting better every game.
Yeah, like you say, with the US, they improved against the Lions. I was speaking to quite a few in the clubhouse just then. It really gives them a metric to see where they are. What's it like playing a team like this? It's almost going into the unknown, really, with teams like this.
Yeah, I think I disagree a little bit, because I think the only thing we can control is what we can control, and we know what we can control. And even since Wednesday, we were a bit loose up front. The bowlers came on a little bit loose. We batted pretty well, but clearly could have got a few more maybe at the end. So there's always little bits to improve on. We don't want to focus too much on them, because we need to focus on ourselves.
Yeah, it looks a fantastic day here at Chipping Campden. How excited are you to possibly seal the Kleenclad Cup here today at Chipping Campden? Lovely day for it.
Well, Owen, it has, and actually Chipping Campden's got a bit of history, not only as in Gloucestershire, my own county, but also back 2 years ago when the Aussies were over here. We clinched the Grey Ashes here, so there's a bit of history, and if we can do that again, so much the better.
Great stuff. That's England captain Ed Gordon-Lennox. Join us from 11 a.m. Good morning, everybody. You join us here at Chipping Campden Cricket Club here in Gloucestershire, beautiful part of the world, here for this second one-day international in the Kleenclad Cup between England over 60s and the United States of America over 60s. So, nice return for me after my holiday to Yorkshire. Good to be back on the YouTube channel. I'll be on commentary with a rolling list of guests from both sides today, so hope you enjoy that. Me and Matt have swapped holidays. He's on holiday. It's either the Isle of Wight or the Isle of Man. I cannot remember if it's the Isle of Wight. Let's hope he's there. Probably got that wrong. But yes, it's England and the USA then in the second ODI of the Kleenclad Cup. England, of course, at Winchmore Hill took the lead in this series, putting a score of 353 on the board in their 45 allocated overs. They then won by 249 runs, bowling the US out for 104, 35.2 overs they had there. Of course, Ravi Suri mentioned it in the interview. Some of the team only just landed on that Wednesday morning as well. So quite extraordinary after a journey like that to be playing quite a taxing game of cricket. It was a warm day at Winchmore on Wednesday. The Lions had the game the next day against the US at Royal Ascot Cricket Club, a club we know well from this summer. And England Lions won by 152 runs, but it was a good total put up by the US of 198 for 6 after 45 overs. So I can just quickly go through the teams for you. I say this afternoon. It's actually still the morning. We're 11 o'clock at the moment. And we can get the England team too. There we go. Ed Gordon-Lennox, the captain. Steve Aston, Timur Allam, Neil Brathwaite, Phil Deakin, Mel Dobson, Nick Dayward, Mel Hussain, Richard Merriman, Mike Palmer, Lee Self and Kevin Watson. And then for the US, Ravi Suri, Ashok Patel, Bhavani Padada, Chetan Shah, Pardeep Gill, Rajesh Adate, Sankajar Uram, Syed Abed Naqvi, Rizvan Sheikh, Abhay Maheshwari, Chandrakant Barinde, and there's a team for you for the US. And I'm pleased to say that joining me on the commentary now is the US's Peter Jones. Peter, welcome. Great to have you on the commentary. You had a great stint the other day at Winchmore Hill. What are you expecting this morning? The US winning the toss and electing to bat first. What did you make of that initially? Welcome.
Well, I think we're looking forward to a great day of cricket here. It's a beautiful sunny day, a lovely ground here in the Cotswolds. I think, our wives are off touring around. What we're hoping is we can put some runs on the board and they can come back and look at a fairly healthy score. Obviously, England is a class team. They're, together with Australia, the two best teams in the world at this age group. We're growing. I mean, 2 years ago, we really only had about 35 people trying out in the over 60s. Now we're up to 100 and more. And that kind of growth, we come here to be as competitive as we can, but also to learn. We look at the fitness, we look at the repeatability of the bowlers, we look at how the batsmen work different parts of the field, and we try and get a little better each day. So we're looking forward to a great day of cricket.
That's brilliant. Yeah, so it's. I was saying this to Ravi earlier on, Peter, that these last two games you've had against the England over 60s and the Lions has been a good metric to see where you all are at the moment. This as well is such a good metric to see where you are. Batting first, as you say, against a side like this in England, one of the top two sides at over 60s level. It's just exciting to see this, I suppose, this afternoon, because you can see really, as you say, you've seen the growth over these last 2 years. It's been exponential for US over 60s cricket. This just will just show where you've come in the last 2 years, playing against a side like this and batting first.
Yes, I think the first game was certainly hard. England scored a lot of good runs, and then we got over 100, but we didn't get anywhere close. Yesterday, just a couple shy of 200. We had a very good opening stand between these two, the two batsmen, the captain Ravi Suri, and then CK. They dug in very well yesterday, got a bunch of boundaries. We faltered a little bit and then kind of recovered and kept going. So today we need these two to bat deep, and then a number of other guys who can chip in and help with the total.
Yeah, as you say, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens for the US. And that's a lovely shot. First boundary of the day then for the US. And first runs of the day after 2 dot balls.
beautiful shot. Got it nicely positioned square. Got the hole in the field and rushed away to the boundary. I think if you beat the infield, I don't think anyone's going to chase it down today.
Yeah, like you say, quite a wide boundary. It's a lovely part of the world here in Chipping Campden. So yeah, 4 for naught then. And as we say, Ravi Suri and Chandrakant Barlingay to start things off for the US as they look to put an imposing total and make this series turn it up a notch in this series after England won on Wednesday. Just a reflection on Wednesday, obviously. I mentioned it, and we said to Ravi about it. I couldn't believe it when I heard it on commentary on Wednesday, and when Ravi told me today, some of you guys had landed on the Wednesday and then played on the same day. It's extraordinary. That's a long flight, isn't it? And then to play a game as taxing as cricket, that really must have took it out of you. And it was a warm day as well.
Yes, I think obviously ideal timing. You arrive a bit sooner, which many of us did, to have a day or two to acclimatise. But it's a long flight. A lot of our team are from the west coast of America, so you've got 8 hours of time change. It's not quite like flying down to Australia or somewhere like that from here, but it's still a fairly lengthy flight. So adjusting and digging in, I think now we're better adjusted to the time zone, the climate, and hoping to put up a good show today. Oh, I've got to compliment you. You did a great job reading out our names. I know they don't necessarily roll off the tongue, but that was done.
Yeah, it's the second boundary of the day there for the US. A good first over for the US. And that ends that first Mike Palmer over. Dot ball for dot ball 2 and a 4. So must be pleased with that one over in. 10 for naught then, Peter.
We'll take that as a run rate through the rest of the innings.
That'd be brilliant. That's right. But yeah, I've mentioned this to a few players, and I was speaking to Richard Merriman. It was during the Grey Ashes series at Royal Ascot, where playing a side like the US, playing teams like this is so interesting ahead of the World Cup next year in Canada, because you're playing sides that you wouldn't necessarily play all the time. Of course, Australia and you know them back to front because you've played them year after year. But playing against this US side, really gives a good metric to see where they are ahead of some. You'll have some different tests at the World Cup. Same goes for you guys. You'll have some different tests. How nice is it to just come over here and have a nice bit of travelling, but to have a really good test, as I said with Ravi, it really shows where you are as a team and as a unit.
We've had a chance to play against England a few times. A couple of years ago, my first outing for the USA over 60, there was a 4-nation tournament up in Canada, Toronto, and with England, Australia, Canada, and the US. For me, it was an amazing introduction to international cricket because I actually grew up in England near Chester, Manchester. And then obviously Australia needs no introduction in cricket. But my mother was Canadian, so it was kind of bringing together a lot of strings. And then we played them in Chennai. I think there's another game where...
playing on this mat in, as you say, it's such a growing sport in the US anyway. You had that World Cup last year. I think was it T20? Yes, that's right. Yeah, and in terms of where the sport is coming in America, as you say, leaps and bounds at all levels, as well as over 60s. And as you say, what a fantastic... How proud have you been just to be a part of this for 2 years? It's been T20.
How cricket is growing. We're very, very strong within the Southeast Asian communities, Indian, Pakistani, Sri Lanka. The New York area, you see a lot of folks from the West Indies. But I think for another growth spurt, we're going to continue to probably stay within some of the ethnic communities where cricket is strong. But seeing some second generation Indians come through where they've been born in this country. Dad was really mad keen on cricket, so they've actually gone to a cricket academy, and now some of them are just making it into the US side. So to have US born players coming through, I think is going to be a tremendous step for the US.
Yeah, because as you say, you've got such a strong heritage there in terms of some of these, the West Indian heritage there. Such a rich cricketing history, and that's another great shot. It will be prevented on the boundary on that near side by the sight screens. Oh, I say that. It's just rolled through the hands of Gaywood there. I believe that will be another 4.
Go USA.
Yes, Peter's loving it. But yes, it's I believe we had we're into our into the second over now. Sorry, third over I should say. But yeah, 18 for naught then. It was a maiden for Phil Deakin, but a 4 to start this over for the USA. Oh, goodness, yeah. Oh, bit tight there in the end. But yes, it's that's it's really interesting to see. And as I was watching the earlier games in the series, I was really just interested to see how the US will get on. And I've got to say, I was really impressed by that marked improvement at that in the Lions game at Royal Ascot, because putting a really decent score of 198 on the board, putting in terms of, what did you make of Ascot on Thursday?
Well, certainly the drive over there gave us a view of some very nice country. To kind of go under the bridge and suddenly be in the middle of the race course. If we'd had a bit more time, I would have run a lap of the track just to enjoy it. But great ground, quite a slope from kind of top to bottom, and we've got a little bit of a slope here as well today. But certainly, balls that really were just pushed were racing away to the boundary at times. That's quite a change for us, because a lot of the outfields we play on are maintained by parks departments or schools, and they don't want the grass to burn. So it can be a couple of inches long. Now, you don't get a lot when you're trying to hit it on the ground. So it changes a lot of the strategy, where you've got to look for more stuff in the air, which is not how I was brought up.
Goodness me, yeah, I say you must have some incredible temperatures, really, whilst playing cricket in your country. But I've got to say, it's a breakthrough for England and for Mike Palmer.
Yes, that's quite a loss. Ravi was batting well, I think, today. Yesterday he got close to a 50, well into the 40s. He played a few nice shots today. So to see him out is a loss for us. So we'll probably... I think it looks like the vice captain Rizwan coming in to consolidate. Yeah,
a big blow that early on for the USA, who started, to say, quite brightly, Peter. And that's, as you say, 14 runs off 11 deliveries, the lion's share really of the USA's runs so far. But yeah, in comes Rizwan Sheikh to come in and try and shore things up for the US. You want to continue that bright spell, because you don't want the game to then, because we know how good this England side are, yes. Peter. If they take we saw it earlier in the summer, actually, in the series against Australia. Australia had one hell of a capitulation at Fairburn, where they were 26 for 6. And
wow.
That was the best spell of bowling. I've been involved with this England team for over a year now. It's the best spell of bowling I've seen from them over that year period. So we know what they can do. So that's the ominous thing, isn't it, playing England like this? But even so, that good start, you must be pleased with that, despite that early wicket loss.
Yes, I think we would have hoped for these two to get it beyond 50. Obviously, a lot of others are now going to have to, dig in and contribute. We're hoping we'll take a little bit of inspiration from a visit on our day off yesterday to Lord's. So we had a wonderful tour of the ground and the museum and the long room and some of the other parts. Got lots of pictures there. We thought we were going to play a T20 there, but that didn't seem to happen.
Brilliant. But yeah, that comes the end of Mike Palmer's over. Significantly better over than his first. Only one boundary, 4 dot balls and a wicket for Mike Palmer. He's took a few this summer in the Grey Ashes series. Great for him.
Very nice action, very smooth. And also, England has a quality keeper. I mean, you see him standing up to this, and very nice handwork. I noticed that as a keeper, you always kind of study your opposite number and see what's going on.
Yeah, we spoke about different grounds, Peter. You think of just, in terms of, you compare them to US grounds, and you say this weather that we've had is unseasonably nice for we have a decent summer sometimes, but this has been the best summer we've had in many a year. I think one of the driest since the late 70s, I think. So it's quite a... We haven't had much rain at all. I was speaking to Neil Brathwaite just before. You wouldn't mind a bit of rain overnight, just to change up the wicket a little bit.
Yes, I mean, having grown up in Cheshire, I mean, rain was a part of most weekends. So you played in drizzle because otherwise you'd never play. But getting used to batting on wet wickets was an interesting skill. When I kind of came to university further south, those who'd grown up in the south tended to bat on harder wickets and confidently went on the front foot, whereas in the north you kind of survived and looked to see, is this going to shoot, bounce, seam, what? But yeah, beautiful weather, beautiful countryside. It's fantastic. We've got 3 more games after this one, with 2 against England Lions and 1 against England, and just kind of doing some Google searches, some beautiful looking grounds to come. One with a castle, I think, in the background, Eastnor Castle. Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow at Eastnor Castle in Ledbury for the second test for the Lions against this US side. Join us from midday for that on this very YouTube channel.
There was a wonderful experience for our ladies at the first game where the cricket field, and you'll have to remind me of the name of the club, I'm sorry, but it's on the grounds of the game we played before, Winchmore, yes. And Countess Howe and, Earl Howe and Countess Howe were there because it's on their land. Had a chance to chat, and they were kind enough to walk all our spouses and my daughter, who was watching, over, kind of take them around the gardens of their house and show them a range of things. So just so friendly and welcoming, and it was a very nice experience.
Brilliant. No, that is fantastic. That is another maiden then for Phil Deakin. He's had a really positive start. 2 maidens in succession.
Phil is a quality bowler. He doesn't give you anything much that you can have a go at that's off the stump. So if you go after him and miss, you're going to be out. And we've watched some video of him. We've played against him a few times, so we know he's a quality act.
Yeah, he had such a good day in the first ODI of the Grey Ashes at his home club of Littleborough at the end of June. 3 wickets. It was a very close run game. Of course, Australia took that lead. At that game at Littleborough, but still 3 wickets. It was 3 wickets apiece, both him and Tony Panacasio. 3 wickets apiece, both him and Tony Panacasio. But as we say, a quality bowler. And 2 maidens for him. And Mike Palmer will be looking to add to his early wicket. To chat to him pre-match.
Yeah, he's got to be fit because he comes in off that fell. A full spell of 8 overs. So, he's looking after his fitness.
Yeah, certainly so, Peter. If you're just joining us here at Chipping Campden Cricket Club, the US won the toss and elected to bat first there, 18 for 1. Early loss of Ravi Suri. Bowled out by Mike Palmer. But yes, now for England, can they just get another wicket to try and really put the pressure, crack the pressure? Because obviously it's such a common thing to say in cricket terms, Peter, but it's really, you wanted that early partnership to build between Suri and Barlingay, didn't you? Because, how crucial that would have been to just really put a really decent run rate on the board to, have a really interesting total for England to chase down this afternoon, because that is so key, isn't it, early on in the innings?
Absolutely. Now, I was just about to comment what a good batsman Rizwan is, but while all the fielders seemed fairly confident, the batsman wasn't moved, and neither, most importantly, was the umpire. Yeah. So we'll assume that there was nothing there, and on we roll. That's
one of the biggest appeals I think I've seen all summer. Like you say, every fielder was up in arms there. They thought that was sure to be another wicket for Mike Palmer, but as you say, the most important man in the middle, the umpire, was unmoved.
We had one of those in the first game where I was convinced and the bowler was convinced and nobody else seemed to be very interested at all. Again, nice club work. Never lifted his foot, but still nice club work.
Yeah, that's what, you're coming up against some really, just very quick with it. And that's what, you can't make, there's no room for error, is there, in that sort of, when you're playing games against, some teams, you might think, oh, you've got that extra second, but with this England side, you really don't. You've got to be on your ball all the time, which can be quite taxing under temperatures like this. It's a beautiful day here in Gloucestershire.
So the one good thing is that we've got folks from all around the US who are used to a range of temperatures. For instance, CK comes from Phoenix. Now last year they had a run of I think about 80 days where it never went below 100. So their cricket for about 3 months of the year they just play evening games under floodlights. The rest of the year beautiful weather, but again West Coast certain parts, New York area we're used to playing a lot of cricket in the 80s and 90s. Sorry, I'm using Fahrenheit. Somebody can do some math and work out what that is in centigrade Celsius.